Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Sorry for coming a wee bit behind schedule, but here we are now. We're going to be speaking with Senator Ajibola Basiru, as soon as we take care of all the gremlins, as I always say from time to time. Senator Ajibola Basiru is the immediate past spokesman of the Senate of the Federal Republic. And our topic of discussion, we can start with you from home, as a matter of fact. It's anxiously waiting for President Tinubu's ministerial list. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And of course, in addition to the senator, the distinguished senator, your contribution from home is going to be quite useful. Why are we anxiously waiting for President Tinubu's ministerial list? I mean, it's going to come, and we've had, technically, he still has the time within which to do it. I believe it's something like 60 days or so, and he will do it. But people are so anxious, we are so anxious that if anybody has a cursory look at the social media, the list has been out since. All sorts of people anxiously waiting, have got tired of waiting, and have come up with their own lists. I'm sure you've seen the improbable names on that list. Well, I don't know. That's from my perspective. You might see it differently. But why do you think we make this big deal? The list is going to come on time, within the time frame. But it's like people want it now. And if the presidency, the president in particular, who I imagine must sign off on every last name, if you look at his record, if you look at how he took off, then there should be no concern that he will not, be within the time frame. But I suppose the president has started in the way he started, and so people expect that everything will be the way it should be. But that's one of the things I'll be asking Senator Basiru once we get hold of him. Say, why the whole, is hullabaloo the right word? I don't think so, but you understand what I mean. Why this whole concern about the presidential ministerial list? Because it certainly will come. President Tinubu is not one to run a government without a cabinet, and so we'll be seeing that soon. But I suppose it's not the easiest of things to do. That's my 2 bits to it. It's not the easiest of things to do to come up with a list. We hear about competence. You look at the ministers that we have had in the past, in the previous regime and in the past. Generally speaking, the results, the sort of the critique that has come forward is that, well, you know how it is. Just like Nigerians and their football team, the Super Eagles team, everybody is the coach. Everybody knows who should be where, at what wing. So I suppose it's like that. But there are things to consider. You've got to consider the region the person is coming from. You've got to consider their religion. You've got to consider their sex. And all of this without prejudice to the fact that the nominee to be sent to the Senate for consideration and confirmation, he just has to be right in so many different ways. I imagine that might be what it is. Maybe they underestimated the job, from the beginning. Maybe they underestimated it, and there was a time when it was said that there is no issue really. The list is going to come. It won't even take us a month. Remember, that was the kind of thing we were hearing. But now it's taking a bit longer than people imagined. Am I hearing, I think they're saying into my ear that Senator Basiru is ready now. Indeed, he is. A fine morning to you, Senator Basiru.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Thank you very much for making time for us. I was just going off on my own rant as to why the delay in coming up with the ministerial list for the National Assembly. And really, that was the first question I wanted to ask you. Say, look, Senator, what is it about this whole ministerial list? It will come, but people are so anxious that they've put their own list out on social media, as to, on behalf of the president, of course. But Dele Alake has since come on, he's come on I think about a week or so ago and said, no, don't believe of any of those things that you're reading. Now, I was saying, Senator Ware, before you came on, that there's so many considerations, and maybe that's made the selection more difficult. But what are your thoughts on the anxiety of Nigerians to see President Tinubu's ministerial nominees?
Yeah, I think why there has been so much anxiety is because with the step that President Tinubu took in the first weeks in his office, there is already heightened expectation as to governance and the delivery from the presidency. And of course, secondly, historically, Ajibola Basiru, the president, is known to be a talent, hunter when it comes to, public, governance in Nigeria. And of course, you also know that a lot of political pundits would be thinking along the line of traditional mode of appointment of ministers, that is, former governors, possibly former ministers, and possibly former political, appointee. But so far, from what President Tinubu had done, you can see that so far he has put round peg in round hole in terms of the special advisor that he has appointed so far. And of course, the ministerial nominees may not be more than 40 or 42, but a lot of consideration we have to go into it. You will know that there is a requirement for spread in terms of constitutional provision that at least one state must come, one minister must come from a state. And of course, the portfolio to be manned by these ministers are heterogeneous in nature, require different skills and competencies. It will mean that you are not just going to pick one person per state, and then you are not adverting to what possible area of competence is required for such people. So you have to match the constitutional spread with also possible competence, particularly for the core areas of governance. Like, for instance, law now, you cannot just pick anybody to be Attorney General. Of course, we have seen, just yesterday, where the governor of Osun has picked somebody who is a legal practitioner to be the commissioner for health. I don't think Asiwaju will make such kind of decision. And when you look at the first cabinet of Asiwaju, sorry, permit me when I use Asiwaju for the president, where some of us are used to call him Asiwaju, so it's not to disrespect his office as the president of Nigeria. So what I'm saying is that when you look at the first cabinet when he was governor, it's so comprised of people of distinct and quite cerebral ability that were able to catalyze development. So the same thing is also expected, and it's going to surprise, if I may say, a lot of pundits who have been coming up with their own list of minister. Maybe it is in line of the viva of minister that even the governor of Osun, when he was to announce a commissioner yesterday, referred to such a person as Minister for Information. And so we're expecting, anxious that at the end of the day, when the list comes, it will satisfy the requirement of competence and ability to deliver on the agenda of the new hope of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And of course, it's not an easy job to do. You referred to the extraordinary talent of the president, Asiwaju, as you said, for sourcing these people, core people that are known to deliver. I think that's been with him ever since his days as governor, and he's kept a close tab with the ground, so to speak. He knows the lie of the ground. But I was just suggesting before you came on that part of the things that might make the job one of the more difficult ones is the intricacies of it. I was just opining that the president is going to have to pay consideration to, well, this is Nigeria, the faith, the religion of the person. He's going to have to pay attention to all those kind of things. There's going to be balance, and there has to be balance and all of that. Whereas other people will say, well, what does that matter? But, well, sorry, in our country, it does matter. That list will be scrutinized. Now, to just give a sort of a very basic example, I imagine part of the agony might be between two people, one of each faith, for example, and both of them are known to be competent people. You can't describe either of them as less competent than the other, for example, in this simplistic example. So he's going to have to come up with that. Additional to that, the president is said to be considering reaching out to the opposition as well. Not that everybody is pleased with that, but I imagine those are some of the things that will go into the mix of the list that will be sent to the president, which, by the way, was supposed to have gone 2 days ago. And here we are, it hasn't come out yet.
I don't know, Okuyori, where you got the information that the list was supposed to have gone 2 days ago. All of us read of the rumor that the list was even already at the Senate. As a senator in the 9th Assembly, I know that there's nothing like advance notice to the Senate. If the letter comes, it will be read the following day or even the morning if it comes early before other proceedings commence on that day. What I also know is that yes, religion, diversity in terms of ethnic orientation matters, but as far as I'm concerned, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I know, who is our president today, would give prior consideration for competence and ability to deliver on his agenda. And we must also know that the Constitution has made the job simpler. There must be at least one minister from each state. So irrespective of the religion of any minister from each state, I think that satisfies the requirement. You cannot now be putting a ministerial position in a basket and start making a juggling of whether somebody is a Muslim or a Christian. I don't see Asiwaju doing that, but at the same time, it will be fair and give consideration for him to be able to deliver on the agenda. Mind you, the maximum number of ministers that may be appointed, maximum, maybe 40, 42, if there are going to be 2 ministers from some states. There are so many positions in a government that people can hold. There are quite a number of agencies that are quite impactful on delivering on the agenda of the president. And he may also consider some people who may not make the ministerial list to be able to carry out responsibility in the area of that regard. So I'm quite confident that this is a person that has prepared very well, to be president of this country, that has what I call iron determination and a spirit of terribiliata to be able to make a difference in the circumstance of our very precarious economic and financial situation in Nigeria. So I see him, taking the bull by the horn. And I know, really, some of these issue of ethnic and religious consideration.
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I do have Ada. She's been on the line for quite a while. Good morning, Ada. Oh, well, please continue, Senator, because you were saying that you had faith in...
of these issues about religion and ethnic thing, they are more of an elitist conspiracy to corner patronage for themselves. I think what Nigerian people need today is we need to address issue of mass poverty, mass misery, the issue of hopelessness of particularly the teeming population of our youth. So for me, it will not matter where anybody comes from or what religion they practice or whether they even practice any religion at all, but are they able to come up with practical solutions to the day-to-day challenges of the Nigerian people, and of course prepare a very befitting future for the oncoming generation of Nigerian people. It is high time we begin to know that a poor man on the street of Maiduguri is equally feeling the same pang of hunger as a poor man on the street of Osogbo or Abeokuta, as the case may be. So I think what would matter is to be able to look at critical sector needing intervention of Mr. President. And which are these critical sector? We have problem of our food security in Nigeria. So we need competent person to be able to handle the area of food security. Without food sufficiency, we are going to continue to have a problem of inflation and we're going to have problem of lack of self-sufficiency, and we're going to be having a lot of pressure on the Naira. We also need to address...
I beg your pardon, Senator. Once more, I beg your pardon. Ada is back, thankfully. Good morning, Ada. Thank you for calling back.
Good morning to your guest. Very interesting topic about ministerial appointment. Anyway, I know I believe in President Tinubu and the way he appoints, makes his appointments, At least he should make sure he appoints people who can deliver, irrespective of their political affiliations. I'm not saying that those who played a role in getting him into power will not be giving up, positions, but let it be people who can also deliver. Then let him attach portfolios to them. So when they go for that screening, they will screen them well. Then another thing I'm worried about is this idea of when the National Assembly, when they see their colleagues or whatever they call them, they now say, take a bow.
Take a bow.
Please don't.
Okay. Senator Basiru will comment on that later. Take a bow. This business of take a bow and go.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying now. So what I'm trying to say is that if they think those people know it all, let them ask them to sing the 2 stanzas of the national anthem and recite the pledge. All the time, that's job on Nigeria, Adima.
Okay, Adima. Thank you very much, Ada. Senator, did you hear all of that?
Yeah, I heard it. I think let me first explain. When somebody had been a senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are presumed to be a distinguished and eminent personality. And you will know that the senators are the one expected to screen, ministers. So if somebody had partook in screening ministers before and now appearing before his colleague, and you expected him not to be accorded, the necessary, respect, and I don't think it is anything, that is out of ordinary. And at the risk of sounding immodest, for instance, Ajibola Basiru, I've been a senator. I have had a stint of experience in private practice as a legal practitioner. I'd held public offices before becoming a senator. If I appear today to be a minister and you say I should take a bow, and go, I don't think there's any untowards about that. The Nigerian Senate comprised of eminent personalities, and it had been a college of distinct personalities who have distinguished themselves in various places. So the tradition all over the world is to accord such kind of a distinction and recognition to people who have passed through the same institution. It does not mean that they are not competent or they are less competent. Then talking about reciting stanzas of a pledge, what has that got to do with competence of somebody who has been appointed to be able to?
Okay, so sorry for interrupting you, but you see, Nigerians, we have seen all sorts. We have seen distinguished personnel in there and honorable personnel in there, sometimes dozing in sessions. And so people are saying that, give them a test, wake them up if you can. Recite the first 2 lines of the second stanza of the national anthem. As improbable as it sounds, they just want to know that people are awake. But before you respond, Senator, Mazi Okoroafo has called in. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Honourable Senator. You see, Sayori, Nigerians are waiting for the ministers to come on board. I thank God that the PAMSEC and all these ministries, they are doing very, very well. Very, very outstanding, honestly. Kudos to all those PAMSEC. But the question is that we want ministers that are technocrats. Technocrats in the sense that people that will come on board and do the needful and make sure that the dividends of democracy gets to the masses, the people that live under the sun, under the rain to vote. But the question is this. The recycling does not make sense at all, because we have reached a level that I think we remember when the speech of Adamu when he said that he was ignorant of the education sector. That 8 years ago, you see that we don't want such occurrence again. That is why we want people that are talented. That I will look the present government to start a process. You see what happened in America? That was some years back. Though some people are not born by that time. What did the president do? The president brought in somebody from the opposition party, that's a critic of this regime, to be the Secretary of State. And Secretary of State of the United States of America is the highest, more than the President of the United States of America. He brought the opposition party to be there on that government. And they work very well. So I think such things should happen in Nigeria.
Okay.
No matter whether it's an opposition party or not opposition party, let us get people that are ready to do what? To deliver.
Okay, Mazi, I'm afraid I'm going to have to butt in there. I'm so sorry for doing that. I'm going to have to butt in there, but we get the point that you are making. And in that relation, Senator Basiru, I think I've heard talk about the president might also be considering members of the opposition as well, which was the central plank of the point that Mazi Okorafor was making. This meets with your approval as a commentator in this case, to bring in not just party faithful, even bring people in from out of politics, the private sector. What do you think of that possibility?
Yeah, I think those are clear possibilities, but I need to make this clarification. The fact that some of us have decided to enter politics does not make us less of technocrats than those who have not decided to test the murky waters of politics. For instance, the former governor of Lagos, Babatunde Raji Fashola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who is a seasoned administrator, could not be said to be less a technocrat just because he had entered the foray, of politics. And of course, without, singing my own praise, my background, I have a PhD in law, I've been an attorney general, and of course, I'm a legal scholar. I have books in the area of law published to my credit. The fact that I've entered politics does not make me less, a technocrat. So we must be able to get issue of competence. Does not mean that those who are in politics lack the necessary, ability to be able to do so. Like for instance, some of the special advisors to the president, like for instance, Zach from Oyo State, is a first class, brain, who is a chartered, accountant, and of course, Wale Edun, all of them had that experience in politics before. That is not to say that those who don't have experience in politics are better off than those who have experience in politics. And that does not mean that the president will not go outside, those, parameters to be able to pick people. Like, for instance, the person heading the review committee on taxation in Nigeria, you can see he's not a politician. He comes from private sector, Pricewaterhouse, Cooper, to be able to bring his expertise to help in the very vital area of, developing our country, which is revenue. You know, the problem we have in Nigeria is that outside all revenue, we are challenged in being able to drive our economy with taxation. And as a student of taxation, I know that two things are certain in life: debt and tax, according to some jurists in that regard. So I wouldn't take it beyond Mr. President to look outside the scope of the corpus of people who are politicians to get technocrat and possibly elements who are apolitical or even add things in some opposition political party. What matter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to ensure that he deliver on the renewed hope and the expectations of Nigerians as to delivering on development, addressing the issue of poverty, hunger, unemployment is more than heightened than ever before in the history of this country.
All right, Senator, I'm going to have to go on a quick break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll continue taking your calls as well. Okay, welcome back. If we've been together, or welcome if you've just joined us. It's not a bad time. We're at the halfway point, and we're having this conversation on the anxious wait for President Tinubu's ministerial nominees to be presented to the Senate. Our guest is Senator Ajibola Basiru, immediate past spokesman of the Senate of the Federal Republic. And in the meantime, when we went on break, Comrade SHAMSIDEEN called in from KOTANGORA. Good morning to you, Comrade.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and gentlemen in the press, our capacity senator of the Niger Republic.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Well done. Uncle Yori, my observation here concerning this ministerial nominee are just few. Number one, it is an issue concerning our elected representative that we elect, which is our president, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I believe since from 1999 to date, we have never ever bought a president that is a real politician than Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I have a strong belief that you know what politics is all about and what administrative of politics is all about. And I believe that if he wants to choose this ministerial nominee, he is going to choose a capable and quality senators, minister that are going to govern this country. Because if you look at the previous administration, we have problem of some ministers that do not even know the work and duty of their office that was given to them. So I'm urging Mr. President and also advising him, let him select people that will be capable and quality sound, that will handle each and every office or position that will be given to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then, secondly, if you wanted to nominate this ministerial nominee, let him nominate a competent people that are going to govern each and every office that was given to them. For instance, now somebody complained that a senator will come, they will tell the senator to take a vow and go. I have a strong belief a senator can be a minister if they give him a particular office that he is a master planner or is a master concerning that office. He will anchor it very well. For instance, like former Senator Ali Usabi Abdullahi Balademborgu, which is our former senator, if they give that man a senator in each and every office concerning the ministries that we have in this our country, I believe he will anchor that office well, because he's a competent person and he's a sound and quality leader. I have a strong belief, and even you, Uncle Yori, I know that you know him. You know that he's a quality person. So please, I'm urging you, Mr. President, to select this ministerial nominee.
Okay.
Based on performance, based on merit.
All right then. Thank you very much for calling in, comrade. But like the senator, you were referring to the president as Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whereas you're technically correct. But let's just go with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That time has passed. If you know how it is. But that was just a little personal addition of mine. Well, Senator, well, you heard him. And I don't think we want to talk very much about this so that it doesn't become a sort of a ping pong. You've made the point that senators are often, cerebral, competent professionals. They're oftentimes professionals in politics. You gave the example of your very self, and I guess we understand it. But so I wanted to shift to the other side. Are you expecting, as people have been speculating, people coming in from outside of the political fray altogether, if indeed appropriately qualified people as far as the president is concerned, exist there? Are you? Would you be against him bringing any such person?
I read a communique issued by Governor Abdurrahman of Kwara State, who is the current president of the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, whereby he told the governors that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is willing to get nomination for board, appointment, from opposition political parties, and I think that is in order to ensure that we have, a government that spread, it net very wide in getting competent people to be able to do so. But I'm not too sure whether that will be the case with the top echelon of political appointment, which is the ministerial position. I didn't read that much from the communique that have been done, but I also know that possibly some people in other political parties or people who are apolitical, they may find themselves on the cabinet of the president. I know very well that the president is somebody who has dedicated himself to achieve this not only for himself, but to be able to make impactful contribution to the development of not only Nigeria, but we the black people.
Another reason, and here I'm just guessing on my own, another reason for people's keenness to see the list, I remember there was the faux pas, so to speak, of with the previous president, where people who were deceased were actually, announced as ministers. Everybody had a nice chuckle about that, but we're wondering, so what goes on? Don't people know people that they are putting forward? If a person has been deceased, it happened, and people don't expect it to happen here. But just looking for reasons why people are sort of craning their necks, wanting to see what exactly President Tinubu is thinking about his ministerial list.
And we must get the record straight. I'm not aware that any ministerial nominee had actually been announced by the previous government who had been deceased. I'm aware that board nominees, it occurred, unfortunately. Why that could have occurred would be that there appear to be a temporal dimension between the time those lists were compiled and the time the announcements were made. And of course, you know, Nigerian political space is also very fluid. What can happen in 1 week or 2 weeks or a matter of months could be different. Somebody might have been nominated for board appointment and they are quite very large. You are talking about 2,000, 3,000 people. But the Ashwaju or the president I know, sorry, Okuyori will get used to the president thing over a period of time. It's still just less than 3 months into the presidency. I would definitely comb every list, and I know he has a competent team, both in terms of the SGF, who had been a 2-term governor, a minority leader in the Senate, and of course an astute administrator, and of course the Right Honorable Gbajabiamila Amila Femi, who is the chief of staff. And the president is actually surrounded himself with people who are very thorough, and of course they have competent aides. So I don't see such kind of occurrence happening in this administration.
Benga in Abuja, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for waiting a while. Go ahead now.
Good morning, sir, Mr. Yori, and good morning to Senator. It's quite a while we have him, and I'm wondering if his name is not in that list, because he had done the job. He did the job very well when he was a senator, as a spokesperson of the Senate. Mr. Yori, I want to say that every one of us are waiting patiently for the president to give us the list. They have been striking the right course, and I believe that he will not disappoint us in the list. I expect the list to have both a mixture of technocrats and politicians. But those who are saying they don't want the cycle, I don't want who can be abandoned. All the people I've seen that have been the President Tinubu since 1993 to up to 1999, up to now, are people who are what it takes to be a president of this country, if not a minister. Like the past minister of work, he's a politician and a technical on his own. He handled the Ministry of Work and Power as if he's an engineer, and he was a staff boy for that government. You could see every infrastructure. So I don't say they say don't recycle. He can recycle Fashola as many times as he wants because he performed very well. Others who have all the experience and what it takes. So we are expecting much from him, and I believe that he will give what he gets because there are challenges here and there now between this well subsidy and the rest. So people are waiting for economic team, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Finance to come and start for economic and the rest of it. So we expect much from him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benga, calling in from Abuja. The other thing that people want to, at least looking at the social media, the other thing that people seem, keen to hear is who's going to be the Minister for Petroleum, among others. The last speaker just spoke about, in the past, I think the president himself, people said the president was the Minister for Petroleum, but I don't know, he wasn't often referred to as the President and Minister for Petroleum, but people said it was. Again, do you understand that sort of anxiety, people wanting to see who the Minister of Petroleum will be?
I wouldn't know whether President Tinubu will want to use this what I may call aberration of saying minister for states. I think each minister, constitution recognizes a minister to be a minister. And of course, if you want to get them to perform optimally, yes, you can let each of the minister have their own ministerial responsibility, clearly spread out, and also give them, the designation for what responsibility they will carry out, and have their own independent permanent secretary, so that you won't have to be referring to some people as a junior minister, as it were. Even during the time of our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, I wouldn't know whether he really had the time to supervise or superintend the Ministry of Petroleum. So I think the job of the president is so wide and so demanding to now add supervision or superintending the ministry as part of the responsibility of that of the president. So it remains to be seen whether that will be the case. I'm not sure the president that we know will tow that particular part. And I don't know why people are so much concerned now about who is going to be Minister for Petroleum. You will know that one of the landmark work of the then Senate is the deregulation of the petroleum sector by the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act. The NNPC Limited is now a private limited company, and there are moves to ensure that it goes public, and it is tiled around something like we have in Saudi Arabia, like Aramco. So over time, the job of the ministry, just like the Ministry of Power, will become more of a regulatory. It will not be that of a very large, humongous, or to use what Nigerians refer to as a juicy ministry, whatever that means in that context. And I think our focus should be on how to even de-emphasize petroleum in our economy. We need to diversify the economy. We also need to look at tax revenue as a source of pushing development and funding our developmental programs.
All right then. Reverend Dominic in ALIMOSHO, good morning to you, sir, and thank you for holding on. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir.
To your guest. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because I couldn't hear the guest in this last seconds, his comments. But let me make my comments.
Sure.
Can I go on?
Yes, please.
Yori, I'm glad that this ministerial list is not out yet by now. And I'm also glad that Mr. President told us when he was campaigning that if there's no quality he had the quality of being courageous. Yori, I would like our president to attach portfolio to every name of any man that's going to represent any ministry, so we know how to ask him questions. Yori, our nation is sitting at precipice. The economy is very, 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 very bad. People are suffering. Yori, I've said it before. They don't want to give 8,000 or 10,000 to the poorest of the poor. Yori, I can't move my car again because of the fuel. Who makes plans for me? We want to see a man finance me or economic advisor. We can ask questions. How are we coming out of this doldrum? So we don't go the way of Zimbabwe. Other nations have gone from high inflation to another inflation to they cannot manage the economy. There's no more, anywhere to hide to say that our economy is bad. Thank God Mr. President knows it. He must be this courageous to attach portfolios to any man, so we know how to ask questions. For instance, if you give somebody works to the former governor of Lagos State, who was the last minister of works, I passed through Niger Bridge the last 2 weeks. I have to take record of Niger Bridge. A perfect work, a perfect design, a wonderful work. A man who did that construction, who provided that construction, supposed to give a second chance. We've seen what Fashola has done in Niger Bridge. You need to go to Niger Bridge. It's what you can see anywhere in the world. What I'm trying to say, let Mr. President be courageous, because we are standing in a very terrible, interesting time in Nigeria. He will enter into history book if he can change this bad economy. Nigeria is having terrible times. There's no joke about that.
All right.
So we need.
All right. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. And that's the second time a caller has mentioned Babatunde Raji Fashola's name. It was mentioned earlier. In fact, I think it was Benga in Abuja who said the president can recycle him as many times as he wants, because that guy is good. But Senator Basiru, what do you think of Reverend Dominic's presentation?
Yeah, it made the idea of attaching portfolio to the nominees, I think it's a very beautiful idea. I'm aware that during the 9th Senate, there was a bill to make constitutional amendment to ensure that the president actually attached portfolios to a ministerial nominee. I think that is the practice in the United States, where we borrow this presidential system of government. So I believe that even though as of today, that is not the position of the law. Mr. President may want to consider that, because what that would do is that it allow scrutiny by the people that would screen those ministers to ask pertinent questions, to test their knowledge, experience and capacity to deliver on such thing. But then the other flip side of it is that the president is free to readjust his cabinet, having secure confirmation from the Senate. So that means that somebody initially appointed as a Minister for Works can be taken to Minister of Education. And that is because Section 5 of the Nigerian Constitution gives flexibility to the President of the Federal Republic to carry out the executive power directly or through ministers, special advisor, and such other person as he may deem to fit so. So the fact that at the point of nomination, a minister has a portfolio attached to his nomination will not mean and will not be able to fetter the discretion of the president to give such responsibility or to reshuffle the cabinet for them to be able to do so. I think that's the argument on the other side.
Indeed, and thank you very much for pointing it out. It even has constitutional backing, because I was going to bring it up that how about when the president wants to reshuffle? If a person is multi-talented and he can swing in either side, you've just explained, should the president want to go that way, it does give him leeway. Mr. Ajibola called in from Magboro. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very happy to speak to you. First, I'll be a bit short on this. One, I think as an elderly man, we should look at it. This is not a simple job for the president. There are 36 states of the federation. Now, he's also going to deliver each of the ministries to each state. And that means that suppose he decided that power should go to, let's say, Kaduna State, then what is going to happen is that those people who have followed them around and all that will have their own nominees. So he's got to find a way of convincing them to choose the fellow that possibly he wants, or he will choose these other their own people. So he cannot rule out politics and all that from them.
Of course.
But Uncle Yori, please let me criticize a little bit some of you sales restroomen. I think we've not done enough work on the on this price subsidy. Now, let me. I had.
Wait, sir. I beg your pardon, sir. Really, forgive me, but you're going on to another subject matter.
Yes.
You want to bring Senator Basiru into the removal of fuel subsidy. And we are looking at the presidential nominees for ministerial appointments.
I just want to give you the errors you've been making, because you've not been making use of the calculation.
Okay, so that it won't seem as if we're gagging you. Take 15 seconds. Make a point in about 15, 20 seconds, sir.
What I'm saying is that, take for instance, if you Google it, the price of X factory from, let's say, anywhere, you probably get 0.5 cents. Now, per liter. Now, take that times, let's say, 800. It's already 400 naira. Now, take the freight charges, about 15%. Take the clearing charges and all that. By the time it gets there, it's 500. The point I'm making is that people don't understand the present position, and we pressmen should have gone there to really calculate this thing and show the people that, look, this present position, there's no way you cannot get it.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yes. I get your point better now. Thank you very much, sir. We've almost run out of time, but I think we still have a minute or two for Senator Basiru to react to your submission.
I think on the issue of the subsidy, one of the character of a leader is to be able to look at a problem and be able to see how we can solve it. I want to say, and first and foremost, as a member of the ruling party and a party of the president, we quite understand the challenges and the pains that many Nigerians are going through because of the current situation of the regulation of the petroleum sector. But the reality is that without that deregulation, Nigeria may be on the brink, of a bankruptcy, you will know that in the past 11 years, at least 15 trillion naira have been spent on the so-called petroleum subsidy. And in 2022, the federal government had to borrow 1 trillion naira to augment the payment of fuel subsidy. And because of the first subsidy, the amount available for distribution to the federation and the states are actually plummeted. You will see that this month alone, about 1.95 trillion was made available for distribution, which means that there will be funds to catalyze development, funds to begin to put the real sector into place. So we're going to have to plead the Nigerian people to show.
I have to do this from time to time. So sorry, but we're going to have to leave it there, Senator Ajibola Basiru. Thank you very much indeed for what you were just saying. But last note now, last question. So when is the list going to surface? When, in your estimation?
I don't work in the office of the president. I have some other responsibility that I do, and I don't want anybody to quote me. Maybe you can ask my elder brother, Godile Alaki, about that question. So maybe
all right, then. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Senator Ajibola Basiru. Appreciate your time. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.